Surprise. Friday afternoon. Okay. In 2011, I was broken. I was hurting. I'd done everything right my whole life. I had played by the rules. I had kept my mouth shut when asked to be a team player. I took the hits, made good choices. And to be fair, I made a lot of bad ones too. And I had every mark of credibility a person could possibly possess. Yet, in interview after interview, I heard that I was too risky, that I was laid off on my way to my wedding. We found out that I was pregnant after cashing my first unemployment check. We moved first to the Houston suburbs, which was a total disaster. I've talked about that before. And I knew that I was deeply depressed before the idea that my kids would be better off without their loser of a mother, before that crossed my mind the first time. I tell you this so you understand where my head was at when I moved to Denver. It's very important that you understand this, that I barely survived this transition, a transition that no one in their right mind would have asked for. When we moved to Denver, I was pretty sure my marriage was not going to work. So after my second child was born, I started looking for jobs. Nothing was a good or natural fit for my education or my experience. And I'd been home with kids for 2 years. So once again, I was told that I was too risky. I was trapped, powerless. I never asked for this transition to stay-at-home parent and was terrified I would never again have control over my own life. This was my lowest point. I wish I could take credit for turning things around, but honestly, it was a lot of coincidence, serendipity, and a lot of lucky breaks that happened moment by moment. There was no roadmap, no blueprint that I would draw from this for anyone else to follow, and there was no master plan for sure. This is the story how a career expatriate, equity sales trader, Wharton MBA, would become a mom of 4 and a run coach in Denver, Colorado. It's a good life now, but it's certainly not the life I had dreamed of since I was little, much less planned. But I don't think anyone plans transitions like this. Not like this. The person who hired me into my first coaching job never saw me as risky. And if they did, they certainly never said so. Even though I had 0 experience and only 1 weekend certification under my belt, none of the marks of credibility people look for when evaluating run coaches, and way fewer credentials than anyone else this person worked with. I got the job because I was the first to respond, and the person who hired me never thought twice about it. That moment, the moment that changed my life, that would help pull myself and my family out of this dark place, wasn't even an afterthought for this person, which is crazy to me. 2 years later, I would be approached by an agent who had heard me on a podcast and wanted to help me build out my personal brand. I said, no way, that's too small. If I'm building something, it has to be bigger than me and it has to reach way past me if it's going to work. And then it struck me as I turned away this opportunity after years of jumping at every opportunity that would have me, how far I had truly come, how this job had helped me pull myself together so that my husband could in turn pull himself together and be in a place where our children did not think that their mommy was a loser. More importantly, she didn't think she was a loser either. That job, that silly little job that wasn't even an afterthought, saved me. Anyone who asked me about my new career would always get an earful about my manager. This person was fantastic at their job. I was continually in awe how they managed how they managed the managers, how they managed all of the crappy complaining clients at this little suburban gym. And how most of all, what got me was how this person would walk into every room and just own it. You know what I mean? When someone walks in and everyone stops talking and turns around as though they've been waiting for that person to show up, that was my manager. This person was everything I wished I could be. Describing this person in traditional terms fails them. And failed them then, it fails them still. Their personality, the things that they were really good at, the things that made my life easy and coaching a breeze, they just don't fit on a resume. And I said, if ever I had a company of my own, I would want to hire 20 people just like my manager immediately. And I had no idea how I would start to find them. I still don't. So here we are, once again, putting my company's money where my mouth is. It's very important to me. It's important in general that you understand that this is where my heart is too. Fitness protection needs to be bigger than me. I believe that still. It needs faces that don't look like mine, stories that don't sound like mine, voices that resonate with people who will never identify with me. It needs to reach past me to every person who is running through a life transition they never asked for, especially the transitions that no one in their right mind would ask for. This is exactly what I want to do with fitness protection and why our best next step is a sponsored athlete program. I've been advised that this is risky. Associating our corporate brand with non-normative faces and so-called niche voices could turn people off, or worse, it could feel like pandering. It's important you know that I'm proudly sponsoring the person who saved me, the person I still want to be when I grow up, and making sure he knows that he is coached and loved and winning at life. I will never stop advocating. I will never stop advocating for and protecting a safe space for him in this sport, especially since, no offense, he's not winning the races he shows up to. He's not stealing anyone's income or their spot on the Olympic team. So as far as I'm concerned, there's no conflict or controversy around his participation. Everything is better when he shows up. The third sponsored athlete of the fitness protection program is Cade Schultz. But when he hired me, I knew him as Kristen. Yes, that Kristen, that same Kristen from all my stories and all the old podcasts, who I've referenced over and over again. As you will see in the photo in Coach Sarah's newsletter that's coming out in a couple hours, he's winning at life. And he's come out of a dark place too. Neurologists say that all the people you love live in a literal inner circle in your brain. This is why parents will look at one child and say their brother or sister's name or even their dog's name instead of the child that they're looking at, their actual name. The more love you have for a person, the harder it is to change those patterns in your brain. Bear with me. Sometimes when I talk about Cade, I use the wrong name and I use the wrong pronoun. It's never intentional. But when I slip, please don't hesitate to call me out if I don't catch my error immediately. I usually do. Cade's transition might not resonate with you. And that's fine. It doesn't need to. His story of triumph over personal pain, though, finding his place in the world, that just might. If you can look at me and see something more than a run coach, more than a sad little failed sales trader, stay-at-home mom with too much education, if you can look at me and see something beyond other than the ugliest and worst possible narrative, then I'm confident you're going to look at Cade and see something more than a niche. What binds us together is the fact that both of us faced rough transitions that neither one of us would have asked for, transitions that no one in their right mind would ask for. I barely survived mine. And every day he's teaching me how to live mine with aplomb. Remember, you don't have to look at Cade at all. This is Guided DIY. You guys don't even have to look at me if you don't want to. Sponsoring athletes is a very small part of what I do. It's a small part of what we intend to do. And to be very, very clear, what I am here to do is coach and love everyone, especially you. Especially you. I wanted to tell you this now and give you a chance to process it before it becomes public and remind you that part of what drew you to me in the first place was that I preach what I practice. If you want to talk about this, please reach out to me personally, mk@fitnessprotection.com. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to feel what you feel. It's not okay to put those complicated feelings on Cade. Put them on me. You'll get to meet Cade next Sunday night, unless you decide to skip the first part of the live stream, and I get that. And this Sunday, though, you're going to get to meet sponsored athlete number 2, who, if I say so myself, was an absolute hit in our Zoom meeting for 3 days at the fair earlier today. I'm proud of what we're building. I'm proud of what we're doing. I understand that each step forward we take together, I run the risk of losing people. I hope that's not the case, and I'll always hope that the road you travel will lead you back to me. Because what I'm here for is helping people navigate those transitions that no one asked for, those transitions that come. And for so many, there will be no other place they can go where they will feel coached, loved, or even seen. All I needed back then was to be seen. But that doesn't mean y'all have to look. You'll always have the ability to look away. I'm grateful for you. I really and truly am. And I'm going to love you all no matter what. That's it. My kids just came in. I'm going to go cry some more and hope that this all ends well because Kate deserves it. Have a great weekend, you guys.